Hi folks, this is all the fruit in the town of Kapit in Sarawak in Malaysian Borneo. I found some local varieties of Rambutan and Pulasan. Rambutan is one of the most famous fruits of Southeast Asia. Even people in the West have heard of it. The Latin name is Nephelium lappaceum. Pulasan is a much more rare thing. It's mostly a Malaysian thing, almost absent in the parts of Indonesia where I have been. People from Java have never heard of the fruit, and when I showed them the picture, they said this is a rambutan. You can find it a bit in West Malaysia and Peninsular Malaysia, but the area where it shines is Sabah and Sarawak, the Borneo part of Malaysia. This is a very dark variety, almost black. They are reddish and yellowish varieties too. Pulasan, Nephelium mutabile. Mutabile means changeable. It's a very variable species. But this is basically the standard rambutan, even some Western fruit enthusiasts will recognize. And this is the Pulasan, which is, more seasonal even than the rambutan, more difficult to find. But you can find it in Sarawak if you look long enough. However, at Teresang Market in the small city or big town of Kapit, I managed to find two local varieties. Here we have buah ma. Buah simply means fruit. Not exactly sure what ma means. Maybe put it in the comments. I'm not even sure if those names are also the same in Melayu. Here most of the vendors on the market are Kayan, with also some Iban and Kenya people. Those are local tribes who have languages related to Malayu but different. But anyways, this is buah ma. And this is some old, ancient variety, or maybe even the wild ancestor of the rambutan. You find those old rambutan varieties and even other Nephelium species a lot more in Kalimantan, in the Indonesian part of the island. Around here they are quite rare, so I'm happy that I found two in one day. This one here is buah Sibau. Sibau means rope. Interesting. Why do they call this the rope fruit? I mean, it's possible that it means something different in some of the tribal languages, but in Malayu/Indonesian it means rope, so it would be strange to call it like this and to mean something different. So beautiful fruits. Even the normal rambutan, one of the more modern varieties, very beautiful and colorful. And I expect it to be the most boring tasting of them all. That's why I'm trying it first. Not a very juicy fruit. Very sweet and freestone. Those are two good things. Would have been better if it was also more sour and more juicy. Not a bad rambutan, but I miss this juiciness, which basically, conquers your whole mouth very fast. Now, those little old rambutans, you might think, why do they still cultivate those little old ugly things? Well, those are also a little bit old, picked maybe a day earlier, when they have such new big colorful ones. Well, one reason is the taste. Those usually taste crazier even than real wild other Nephelium species. There are dozens of Nephelium species in the region. Much more juicy, much sweeter, also quite sour. And with a striking flavor. The small, old, ugly ones, definitely superior to the modern, fancy one. Now about the Pulasan. Pulasan is in general much tastier than, this one is very old already, not good anymore. Pulasan is generally much tastier than rambutan, but I guess also more difficult to cultivate and even more seasonal because I see it more rarely on the market. Also, another problem is that the rind is usually very thick and basically makes up more than half of the weight. With the modern rambutan, the rind makes up maybe 10-15% of the weight, and the seed another 5%, 80% are fruit. With those here, maybe still 60% are fruit. With many rambutans, you get just 30 or 40%. I don't know whether it's the fact that this is very old and the papillae have already lost a lot of water, or if it's one variety with thinner rind, but here, I would say about half of the mass will be edible. Yeah, it tastes a little bit old. I can see that most of the fruits here, this one don't even need to open it. This one is already running out. I'll be lucky if I get 3 or 4 good fruits out of this. I have to take this into account. Juicy, but not too juicy. Might be because it dried out. Sweet, sour, some flavor. Although the flavor is already a little bit mushroomy. Better than the modern rambutan, that's for sure. Even in its old, dilapidated state. But nothing compared to the old wild rambutan or to the ancient variety. And now the Bois Ma. It is most probably a Pulasan, although there are 1 or 2 very closely related fruits, which it also might be. There are a couple very similar, and when a species is called mutabile, that adds additional difficulty to it. Here you can see a lot of the weight is in the rind, much more than in the average rambutan. Also a nice wormy. A little bit underwhelming. I expected something better. Let's try the next fruit. It is juicy, nice balance between sweetness and sourness, more sweet than sour. Quite good, better definitely than the average rambutan, but still no comparison with those little guys here. An explosion of juiciness, sweetness, sourness and flavor. This is definitely the number 1. This would have been the number 2 if it was still fresh. Right now I would say this is a little bit better. So this now the number 2, normally the number 3. This now the number 3, normally the number 2. And this one, despite not being a bad rambutan, definitely in 4th place. So folks, those were Bois Ma and Bois Sibau, sorry. 2 local varieties of rambutan versus Pulasan. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the once pretty beautiful and sometimes really fruit-rich town of Kapit in Borneo. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.